A gute Nisru Chaga Boisai. Liebe Geschmaß im Miros Jerusalem Pas Mordechai. In Chutzlart, they're dancing Akovas now. Yeah? No? Depends where. You have England, you have, I don't know what. Wow. Rabbi say, golden dove, the famous golden dove, the Maisa in Brachas Daf Nun Daled, official. This is what Bibi gave Trump, a golden dove.
Wow. The bottom says mitzvah motivators.
He says on the bottom it says mitzvah motivators. Dear Belly, you mentioned Yosef Tzaddik this morning, so I thought it was a Peladic thing that Yosef Tzaddik stayed in jail for 2 years. Veikish Nasayim Yomim. That's exactly. Thank you so much. And these hostages, they stayed exactly 2 years to the day. So he says, you mentioned Yosef Tzaddik this morning, each Chag is connected to one of the Avos. Pesach is Avram, Shavuos is Yitzchak, Sukkot is Yaakov. What about Shmini Atzeres? The continuation of Sukkot is but a Chag on its own right. Shmini Atzeres is Yosef Tzaddik. I don't know where he got it from, but okay. He fed all the Jewish people, and is therefore considered as one of the patriarchs. Chag Sameach, Daniel, Yevaldik. Let's jump into it. The Masechta is sponsored by David Salomon, dedicated in memory of Avi Meirib Shmuel Baruch ben Reb Chaim Tzvi Dov Zichron Livracha. And the 5 Masechta sponsors, anonymous, the Nishmas Doidi Shlomo Yehuda Zichron Livracha, and Shmuel Chaim Zichron Livracha, Shokai Velom Kotchem Kol Chayav, anonymous, the Schus for Fuhr Shlomo Nachum Tzvi ben Yenta, sponsored by Skyberg Capital, in honor of our friends Meir Kovacs, Taki, Shamshi Shlafrak. For the devotion to Torah study in the Shir, Joel Gedalius, the Nishmas, my father, Jack Gedalius, anonymous, the Tzlach Baruch Nisu V'Gashmias. MDY Coffee Corner. Oh, today I'm going to enjoy a coffee from the Coffee Corner. Usually I don't. Today, Dr. Epstein, thanks. Appreciate it. Rivka and Dr. Avram Epstein, pray, daven for a complete and speedy recovery for Dr. Harold Goldmeyer. Anonymous from London, Parnasa B'Shefa, Yudo Lashinsky, in honor of my father's 6th cycle of the Daf, your big heart and giving to the community is inspiration for all of us. Anonymous, Broch Adulidai, Yudah ben Yomim ben Chava, and Baruch Tzvi ben Shoshana Leah. Anonymous, L'shana Tovim Sukal of Schutz Aliyah ben Chaya Dvaira, and in honor of my Chavrusa Simchala, Bentin Glicksman, Mazel Tov D'Tali on her birthday, urgent for Shlema for Chaim Yosef Ariel ben Sarah Rezel Amen. Weekly sponsors HYK Ventures, or for Shlema for Elka Bas Chana, anonymous, in the merit of Bracha Bat Chana for good health. And the way are, Yon Tanei Tamem B'Shav Bracha for Shlema. Amen. For Shleima, Mordechai ben Esther, and Rufus Hayeled, Daniel Zev ben Ayelet Esther. Boisai, we're holding on top of Amud Aleph, which means that we're 30 daf into Zevachim. Just like that. Take a bite out of Kachim. Itmar. So, discussing Pigul and Chutz HaMakom. A Kohen who performs the Avodah thinks in his mind that he's going to eat this Korban in a year from now, in a month from now, 3 days from now, more than the time that is allowed. He's allowed to eat it for 2 days. He says in 3 days from now he's going to eat it. And then he goes ahead and he eats it after the Zrika is performed. He gets Karas. If he doesn't eat it, it's still Pigul. It's Aser. We saw Shita that you get Malchus, or not. Or he thought in his mind he's going to eat it in Bet Shemesh, in Boston. in another place that he's not allowed to eat it. Typically, you could eat it either, depends on the carbon, either inside the Beis Hamikdash or inside Yerushalayim. He's like thinking outside of the place. In order to be chayiv pigul, in order for the pigul to be chal and to be over and to get kares, it has to be a pure machshava. It has to be just pigul. As soon as you add another thought to that, you don't get kares. It's bad. It makes the carbon no good. It's puzzle, but it's not pure pigul. Says the Gemara Itmar, Chatzi zayis chutz lezmanoi, Chatzi zayis chutz lemkoimoi, Chatzi zayis chutz lezmanoi. I said, you know what? It's so confusing because there's three things here that we need to do something very special. So, when out of my, gotta get my gloves on for this. It's pachad pchodim for me. I have a special fear. I'll explain to you in a second. You know it's dangerous, right? No, he's saying the black glove. We pulled out the black glove. Yeah. It's one of the first times, besides the kutach, that I, myself, cooked this up. Oh, I got to introduce you. This is my favorite one. Check this out. Look at this color. Look at this. It's an egg. It's a kibetza. We're going to use this. It used to be whole. I chopped it in half. It's unbelievable. Look at it. It's gewaldig. Okay, hold on. We got more. Oh. Look at this color. This is phenomenal. I just couldn't find the red. It's not a thing here in Eretz Yisrael. I went knocking on doors. Mamish knocking on doors. Nobody. I had to go all the way to the Kamianskis to get a little bit, and they also didn't have. This is a good one. This is a kibetza. Oh, look at this color. It comes up beautiful on look at the. It's gewaldig. Okay, so one.
I know this game.
Huh?
I know this game.
Yeah. We're gonna have to. Where's my thing? It's somewhere. You know what? We don't even need that. Just go like this. Go. Oh. Does everybody want to eat it at the end of this year? Okay, here we go. That's it. We don't need any. Hold on. So we're gonna have to mix it up. The kazei semanti. Let me get my. You need for this. You need a stick. Can't. Oh, he's here. Zevachim kavua. You stay far away from these things. I'm telling you, this is what is it called? Not nuclear. It has radioactive. It's radioactive. There's no shayla. It's radioactive. This is what they feed the kids today, and they wonder why they all have ADHD. Okay, this stuff. Itmar chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi. Okay, blue is chutz l'zmanoi. Blue is chutz l'zmanoi. Pink is chutz l'malkim. So, in order for basically, all we're talking about, this whole Amud, is all about chatzi. If it was a whole machshava, let's say this was chutz l'zmanoi, and then he put a half a kazayis chutz l'malkim, it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to be chutz l'zman. It's going to be pigul. But what he did was he thought about a chatzi zayis chutz l'zman, then a chatzi zayis chutz l'malkim, and chatzi zayis chutz l'zman. So Rava says, listen to this, Murdik.
The second Chatzizayis is completely different Chatzizayis from the first one?
Yeah. Like this, mamish like in this example. They're different. They're different halves. They're different zaysim. He's thinking about the animal. The animal weighs hundreds of pounds. And one half a zayis of this animal is going to be chutz l'zman, one half a zayis is chutz l'makom, and then he goes back to chatzi zayis chutz l'zman. Says Rava, Vayikatz ki yoshen apigul. Quotes a pasuk. Vayikatz ki yoshen. This guy is asleep. He's dormant. He's a half a kazayis. A pigul means nothing. And then you went and you were mevatel, sort of. You ruined this half by putting in a chutz l'makom, because this chutz l'zman has to be pure. And it's not a pure thought now because you did a half a thought of chutz l'makom. But because this is only a half a kazayis, so we're going to pretend that these two are together. This chutz l'zman is together, and the chutz l'makom is by itself. This guy right over here reawakens. We reawaken him and put him together with him, and boom, we have a full kazayis of chutz l'zman, and therefore it's a good pigul. You're chayiv kares if you go ahead and you eat this animal. Just as a chizuk, we all know the stories, similar stories. There's a guy that goes to the Daf Yomi shir every morning, and he takes a nap. I used to boast that nobody sleeps in our shir, but as the generation to get older and older, people find a great opportunity to fall asleep during the shir here as well. Fine. Somebody asked him, "What are you doing? Like, why? Just don't go, or go to a different shir at night when you're awake." He said, "I want my kids to know that I go to learn. They need to think I'm going to learn. What I do here is not important. I go to learn." And I think it's a murder thing. I think we all know that going to the daf, be careful. You're within reach. The kids understand, the kids see the hashpah that the daf has on, in your case, your father's mushpah from you. I'm talking about the kid. I know your father learns all that. Okay.
I'm mushpah from my father.
Oh, he's mushpah from his father.
I always said the right thing.
Yeah, and from grandfather. Yeah, where is he? He's not here today. Okay. The point is that the kids, they see a lot more and they understand a lot more than we understand. They know when you're on your phone. They know when you're in the Beis Medrash. And they don't know that you're sleeping. Well, maybe they know that you're sleeping. Who knows? But they know what's important to you. Huh? They have cameras. They have everything. Zok the Gemara. Yeah, they see what's chashuv to you. They know what's important. No. Look at this. This is a mixture of thoughts. You see, it's blue, pink. Blue means that this is not a complete thought of pigul, and therefore you don't get cars for this. What's my raya? That I'm right, that you could reawaken something that fell asleep? It's not. We learned. Kebeitza oichel rishoin ukebeitza oichel sheni. Shebelol and zebazah. Get a shmakis sugya, especially if you're an old timer here. Here we go. Let me just show you the original chart that Reuven Chait made, because he came to shir yesterday, and I told him we found it was in the thing. This is the original. Those who remember. This is very similar, just a little bit updated. The way Tumah works, super simple. This is the top mace, Avi Avois Tumah we call him. And it always goes down one step. It keeps on dropping. If Avi Avois Tumah, if a dead person touches a human being, he drops one level of Tumah to Ava Tumah. Ava Tumah is also a dead rat. But he's not Avi Avois Tumah. It starts off at Ava Tumah. If Ava Tumah touches food, like this, then this food drops one level, goes from Ava Tumah to a Rishon. If a Rishon touches something else, so it drops one level and it becomes a Sheni. Maybe for this we should pull out the special egg. One of a kind, because we're talking, that was a terrible idea. Who thought about that idea? Okay, I'm going to put him on his own pedestal. I just like the color. No. Yeah. No, I'm just going to take this off. It's not even kedai. It'll stain it for life. Your hand, if you touch it, you become green for the rest of your life. Fine. So he says like this. Beitza Kibeitza oicha rishon. This is a full egg. Let's pretend these are all full now. This is a rishon. If this touches something, what happens? The next thing becomes a sheni. Ukibeitza oichal sheni. And this guy starts off as a sheni. If this touches something, the next thing becomes a shlishi, or depends on what it is, it'll become pasul. Shlishi means that it has the power to give on to the next, another generation, make something a revi. Most of the time it stops. But let's just pretend these two guys are full eggs. We got a rishon over here, super tame, and we got a sheni. What happened? Shebelol and zebazeh. They got mixed in. They're very hard to know which one is what. They look similar. The green and blue are very similar. In this case, it's clear, but they didn't have a color, and they got mixed in. And then the two of them together touched, I don't know what, touched the kli. A kli is not a good example, but just for today. They shouldn't make this tummy. But anyways, let's say the two of them together touched this. What does this become? What does this become, Rabbi Isai? Right. Again, this is a rishon, this is a sheni, and I touched two of them, both of them together. What happens? This becomes a sheni because it for sure touched the rishon somewhere. I don't care if there's a sheni there. It touched the rishon in there, and therefore it's a rishon. Chilkon, so it becomes a sheni. It's as if we view it as a rishon, and a rishon makes a sheni. Chilkon, but if you separate them, zeh sheni v'zeh sheni. So each one we have to pretend it's the lesser of the two. The lesser of the two is a sheni. Sheni is less than a rishon. Now, what if you put them back together? So Rava wants to say it's the same thing like in our sugi. Put them back together, now they reawaken. A minute ago, you treated them as a sheni, which could only make one step lower, a shlishi. Now, if you put them back together, you view them as a rishon. Hachazar zeh b'zeh, rishon. Maybe I skipped. No, Chilkan zeh sheni, I did skip. I went back. Chilkan zeh sheni v'zeh sheni. Hachazar v'yirvan rishon havi. They become a rishon. How do I know? It says Gemara Mimai Mediktani Sefer. It says over there. Nofal zeh ba'atzmoi v'zeh ba'atzmoi al kikar shel truma. If each one of these eggs fell on a loaf of bread of truma, psalua. Psalua means that we pretend that a sheni touched it, not a rishon. Because if a rishon touched it, it wouldn't say psalua. It would say sheni. But it says psalua. It became pasul. If a sheni touches bread of truma, only truma, because it was chulin, it wouldn't do anything. But if a sheni touches a truma bread, it makes the truma pasul. So we treat it as a sheni. Naflu shneim ka'achas. But if they fell together, or like when one egg is touching the loaf of bread, the second egg comes and hits it on the head. Now we know that for sure a rishon touched it, and it becomes a sheni. If that confused you, that's fine. We're moving on to the next sugya. I think it was pretty simple. No? Fine. I completely didn't understand this whole tzushtel, and I thought that the rishon never went away, never went to sleep. But okay, we just don't know which one it is. Taisus kind of discusses it. But over here, in this case of Tuma, we had a complete egg. They were both complete eggs, both complete shiurim. In our case, with the red and with the blue and the pink, they were always half. They were half a pigul, half a makayim, half a pigul. You wanted to combine two halves, but it was never a complete shear for pigul. Pigul needs to be a complete shear, and you wanted to do some shtick and put them together and reawaken them. That's different. Rav Amnuna says that if you have this case, let's go back to this case. Chutz l'zman half a shear, chutz l'makim half a shear, chutz l'zman half a shear. You don't put the two blues together. It's a combination of different machshavas, and it never becomes real pigul, a pigul of karas. Says Rav Nun, how do I know this? It's not. If food touched the half a kezayis of avatuma would make the next thing. What does avatuma make? What's the step under avatuma? A rishon. So if avatuma, half a kezayis of, we have to pretend that these eggs are zaysim, a half a kezayis b'shenitma b'vladatuma, or a rishon touched food. So now, if a rishon touches food, it becomes a sheni. Mistar from zem zeh letame bekal shebishneim. We pretend. So if we have two halves, this half is a rishon. Sorry, this half is avatuma, which could create a rishon. This half is a rishon, which could create a sheni. So we combine the two of them, and we pretend that it is what? It's a sheni. It's a rishon. Sorry, that can make a sheni. This is. Oh, okay, fine. Thanks. Right. This was contaminated by avatuma. So avatuma creates a rishon, and the vlad of avatuma, which is rishon, makes a sheni. So we have a rishon. Sorry, start over. This is a rishon. This is a sheni. Very good. Now you put them together. So what do you have? You can't say that this is the greater of the two, because one of them is less. One of them has less power to be matama. One of them is a sheni, one of them is a rishon. So we're going to pretend that they're both shenis. We're going to combine them together as a sheni. We combine them as one kezayis of sheni. My love, avagav the Hadran malya. Oh, here, Rabbi, I took another half a kezayis of rishon, and I put it into the mix. L'chari, even if I do that, it remains a sheni. Why? I put two rishons here, and this should be a rishon. So you see, like me, Rav Amnuna, that what? You don't reawaken this guy. This guy went to sleep. We called him a sheni. Even if you add another half. So the Gemara says, who told you? You just made something up. My love, avagav the Hadran malya. Even if you add another half, it stays and remains a sheni? No. So the Gemara says, nothing's forcing you to say that you just added another half a rishon to make it, and it stays a sheni. No, maybe if you added another half a rishon, so now they both come together and they are a rishon. So now we're going to have three cases. Very, very similar, but different. All from the same person. Three Talmidim are going to tell us that they heard from their Rebbe what they heard. We actually had once in the Gemara, I forgot to look it up, but it was like with Reb Chia, and somebody swore that he heard his Rebbe say this. Another one said, I swear I heard this. And then the Rebbe said, no, I said like you. So this guy's a liar. Like he might have swore that this is what he heard. Because everybody hears what they want to hear. So it says like this. Chatzi zayis chutz l'mkoymai. This is the chutz l'makom, right? So here it goes. Chutz l'makom, half a kezayis. V'chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi. And a half a zayis chutz l'zmanoi. V'chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi. He had three thoughts. Each thought was let's get rid of. This cup, damaged forever. Chutz l'makom, chutz l'zman, chutz l'zman. These two chutz l'zmans were two different thoughts, but each one was a half. Just want to make sure that's an egg. It's unbelievable. So if anybody has issues with the kids not eating hard-boiled eggs, this is a murdic idea. Chatzi zayis chutz l'makom. You might get the nutrition of the egg. He will get contaminated by this food poisoning. Chatzi zayis chutz l'makom v'chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi v'chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi. That's why nobody had red, because it's like the red dye is probably illegal here in Israel. No, don't they say the red is? Huh? You have? You have. It's like they have like underground. They sell this stuff in different whatever. You have to know where to get it. So one shot in what?
He's got a dealer.
Yeah. The food coloring deal I needed for this year is to cover the Torah. Let's go. Hook me up. I have cash from donations. You put the two zmanos together, and what do you have? Two halves of zman. You have a full pigul. Tani bar kapara pigul. Why? Because ein chatzi zayis moed b'makom. This guy, this makom guy, this pink guy, cannot hurt a full kazayis. He's a half a shear. We don't care about him. I'm just looking at the picture here. Something's okay. It's not bad. Fine. That even though we started with a bad machshava, he was a half a machshava, a half a kazayis. So that's not going to affect and ruin, because when you want to do a chutz l'zman and you want to be over, you're a tzaddik, you want to be over on the aveira of pigul, mamish l'kol deis, even in brisk. So you have to do one zayis of pigul with nothing, no machshava of chutz l'makom. This half of makom is zero. We don't even look at him. So what we see here is two halves of blue, which equal one whole blue, which equals to one full pigul. This half of pink does nothing for me. What?
There's nothing separating it.
No. You don't need a separation. No. If this was a full kibetza, that would be a full machshava of chutz l'makom, and then you cannot add a machshava of pigul to it. Pigul has to be pure. This guy, now we're going to go into separated. That's what you're saying. That's what the other one heard Bar Kapar is saying. Here, it started off as a chutz l'makom, but it's only half a shear. I discount him completely. I put him on the side, Shalom Yisrael, and now I have a pure machshava of pigul right over here. Kizaysim. What did I said? Kibetzim? No, this whole shear is basically, besides where it says kibetza, but I don't know how to dye olives. This is doable. Motzei Shabbos, I come running into the share 10 minutes late, usual, but I really wanted to be on time, and I had a lot of time. We had 2.5 hours after my but I'm busy dyeing, and you don't even know what it is. I took chrein. I said maybe chrein. I dunked in chrein, so I got a little bit of tint. Then I said, okay, maybe with paprika, call it any way you want. Didn't work. I made a mess in the kitchen and I ran. Zog the Gemara, I'm not kidding. And she fired the cleaning lady, so that's a whole different thing. Tani bar kapara, pigul. Ein chatzi zayis moel b'mokim kazayis. Okay, fine. Next. Kiyos Rav and Omar, chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi, v'chatzi zayis chutz l'zmanoi, v'chatzi zayis chutz l'mkoimoi. So now we're just going to do the opposite. Here we go. It's this case. He started out with a beautiful machshavas pigul, a whole kazayis. Half plus half equals a whole of chutz l'zman. At this point, what do we have? Pigul. He eats it, karas. And then the chacham, he adds another half a machshava, a half a kazayis of chutz l'makom. That's Tani bar kapara pigul ein chatzi zayis moel b'makom kazayis. This we could understand. This is less of a chiddush. He already had a full pigul, and then he added afterwards a half a kazayis. It's a half a kazayis. It doesn't ruin it. Had this been a whole, if this chutz l'makom would have been a whole, then it would have ruined it. But since it's a half, it doesn't ruin something strong and geshmak like a full kazayis of chutz l'zman. Rav Ashi Masna Ochi, and Rav Ashi said, no, this is what Bar Kapara said. Chatzi zayis chutz l'zman v'chatzi ukezayis. So first of all, we got this. Now check this out. This is by itself. These two halves come from one whole egg. Okay? Pretend, I don't want to touch it. Pretend this is the egg. Right over here. He has one egg, and he divides this one egg in his mind, half zman, half makom. But before he did that, he thought about a half a zman. Here on the right, a half a blue egg is zman. And then from a full egg, he went and he split it in half. Half zman, half pigul.
It's always part of the same animal.
Within the same kazayas. You want to break up, you want to you want to view the kazaisim by themselves. Within the animal, there's a lot of kazaisim. So I'm taking a kazais from his tail, one kazais from his tail, and that one kazais, I'm splitting it in half zman, half pigul, half makkah. Like we had yesterday, there's the esophagus and then there's the trachea. I'm doing the chutz l'zman as I'm cutting the esophagus, and the chutz l'makkah is as I'm cutting the trachea. There's a lot of kazais. Rashi talks about there's a lot of kazais in an animal. If there's only one kazais, it would be a problem. First, the half is by zman, and then you take a whole kazais. Chetzi chutz l'mkoimoy, v'chetzi chutz l'zman. On that, Tani Bakapara, Pigul, Ein Chatzi Zayis, Moil B'Mokim Zayis. This pink guy, even though it's in the same Kazayis as the blue guy, but now we're going to pretend that it goes like this. Now we have two blues together, two Afik Kazaysim, and therefore it's a beautiful Pigul. There's a story. First of all, to preface the story, they say that if all the stories they say about the Chazon Ish are true, comes out that the Chazon Ish lived for 240 years. So there's a story that Reb Chaim Kanievsky was by the Chazon Ish, and an individual came in to ask him a shayla, and the Chazon Ish answered the question. And after the guy left, the Chazon Ish told Reb Chaim Kanievsky, "You want to hear something interesting? I bet you if you ask this guy what I said, he's going to say the opposite of what I told him." And sure enough, Reb Chaim chased after the guy. He asked him, "What did the Chazon Ish tell you?" He told him the opposite of what the Chazon Ish really told him. He said the point is that people come, they want to hear what they want to, they come with a certain, they think you're gonna tell them what, an agenda, but they hear what they want to hear. That's what it is. They hear what they want to hear. And therefore, it's possible, I'm not saying this is what they want to hear, but here you have three Talmidim in Bar Kapara saying three completely different things. Omer Rabbi Yanai. New sugya, new sugya. We could leave this here just for the fun. I appreciate the strong colors, but we can move it away if you don't like it. Omer Rabbi Yanai, chishev sheichlu klavim lemachar. Chutz l'zman, we said, has to do with eating. You are going to eat the steak next year, or the mizbeach is going to eat the steak next year. How does the mizbeach eat? By putting it on the mizbeach or by sprinkling the blood on the mizbeach. That's a type of achila. It has to be eating. If the thought of eating when you're going to eat it is after the allotted time, more than 2 days, more than a day, then it becomes pigul. What if you thought that the dogs are going to eat it? Is that also eating? Says the Gemara, yes. The lashon of eating applies to dogs as well. Chishev sheichlu klavim lemachar, pigul, then it becomes pigul. The Siv, v'asizevel yoichlu haklavim b'chelek Israel, that the dogs are going to eat Achav's Russia wife, Mershas, Yizevel. So you see that eating and dogs go together. It happens to be, we have a little bit of, he did a thing about it. This was Yizevel, because Yizevel, even though she's a Russia, her hands and her feet and her head did not get eaten by the dogs because she did a mitzvah with them. She would dance for the kalas. Oh, this is Izabel. Kalev. Took me twice to understand it. Okay, she wasn't Izabel. She's just the old lady walking with dogs, and her dogs got loose and ate up Izabel. Great. Maskevula, without that, sometimes you can't understand the sugya completely. Just because it says the word oichel by a dog doesn't mean that that's considered an achila. It also says the word oichel by fire. The siv. The pigul. If you're I'm gonna bring this home, and the fire is gonna consume the meat. That's considered an achila. And if you're going to say yes, but nan, you say yeah, why not? Fire eats also, dogs eat, fire eats, was nan. Is kosher. We had in the Mishnah, if a person had a thought of eating a half a kazayis and put the other half a kazayis on the mizbeach, that's not pigul. Why? Shein achila v'aktar mitzarfim. This is an achila, but that's an aktara. So you see, aktara putting on the mizbeach is not considered to an achila that we call achila of consuming. Says Gemara, no, you're wrong. The reason why over there it doesn't go together, had he said, here, let's just use it again, why not? If he said, I'm going to eat this half a kazayis, the mizbech is going to eat this half a kazayis, it would have worked. The problem is he said, I'm going to eat this half a kazayis, and I'm going to be makter this half a kazayis. He used the lashon of aktara. That's why it doesn't work. It's not only that this animal, this dog, consumes things, but you have to use the lashon achila by the dog. You have to use the lashon achila by the fire. Maybe if you would have used the lashon achila by a fire could eat. Very Rashi. Love this. Tell you why I like it, because it's going to mamish. You can learn new yesaitis from this. Now what? What if the kohen thought in his mind, the blue half, Noam Fix is going to eat in 3 days from now. The pink half, Avi Kamiyansky is going to eat in 3 days from now. Do the two halves combine to make one kazayis of pigel? What's the shaila? The Kishira, in his one thought, he thought about two people consuming two halves, and two halves equal a whole. Do we go by the human being that's eating it, and each human being only ate a half a shear? You're not going to believe this. If a person tried to combine two thoughts, to eat a half a kazayis, and to put on the mizbeach half a kazayis, kosher. So the Gemara says, but I could infer, Amud Beis. What if he would have said, going to eat, and the mizbeach is going to eat, a lashon of eating, two different people, mitzdarf, shmamina, and the Gemara stays like this. Then what? That two people with two achilas of two half a shiurim can combine for the shear.
Things in the machshava. There's no eating being done here.
Right, but his machshava. Well, if you
A regular starfish of achila. It's not two people eating. He's having in mind.
You know, correct.
Two people are going to eat each other.
So, is it a good? Is it
a machshava, a bad machshava that a kazayis is going to be eaten chutz zmanim?
Yeah, but it has to be eaten by a person. If it wasn't a person, if he thought a mouth is going to eat it, it wouldn't work. It has to be a person eating a kazayis, or two people eating a half a kazayis. So I want to ask you a shaila here. Don't laugh at me, okay? If a person let's say two people at a seder, and each one eats a half a kazayis matzah. Could you combine the two shiurim and say it's a full kazayis matzah? No way in the world. So I want to ask, but before you laugh, think for a second. What about at Kiddush Friday night? The two half a matzahs, two half a kazayis doesn't work for sure, because the Torah says that you should eat a full kazayis. The Torah tells each individual to eat a kazayis. So you can't come up. But perhaps Kiddush is a little different. Kiddush maybe. The idea is that a revius of wine should be drunk over here. Is that the word? Consumed, but there's no word drunk. Okay, consumed. So now, you, Mandy, are going to drink a half a revius, and you, Avi, are going to drink a half a revius, and together, by my Suda, I made Kiddush, you're going to drink half, and you're going to drink half, and we're going to combine a revius together. Could you think of such a thing? Could that work? You're saying yes?
Yeah, it does work.
What is it? So says the Mishnah Berurah, and a lot of people bring this Gemara here as a raya, that two half a reviuses combine as one. You see over here, two bnei adam are mitzvah for, and that's very good, because what he's saying, it's not a chiyuv to drink the revius. The idea is that a revius should be consumed, and if two people, what? I think it is Allah Lamaisa. Those who argue, I think he brings it as Lamaisa. Okay, don't do it at home. Do not do it at home, but I'm pretty sure that's how he paskins. Oh, sponsors. Turning of the daf. Adar Global, specialist in international financial services, anonymous. Nothing in this shir, by the way, nothing is la'alach la'maisa, besides not talking in Kaddish. Don't bring any rayas in Allah from the shir. I throw things out there, and you do, and then, or Ashkafa, or Gemara for that matter. Just go ask your local rabbi if that's the pshat in the Gemara. As a schus for Hatzlachim, Ruchnis and Gashmias. Anonymous in the schus in support of Torah, that all tests should come back 100% healthy for me and my family. I think he wants us to feel the shpilkus that he's on. So we don't know yet. Like, what is going on? This is going on for a few weeks already. What's going on with these tests? We need to know. Okay. Bye, Rava. Rabbi Sai, throughout the Torah, here, check this out. You see these two breads over here? One is a half a loaf and one is like a 3/4 loaf. Most achilas in the Torah, like even matzah, talking about matzah, you have to eat the shear. You have to eat your matzah within the however long a half a loaf of bread takes to eat. Some people say it's 2 minutes, some people 9 minutes, something like that. No, it's within 6, 4, 2 and 9. Pras means a half a loaf of bread. So he's eating pretty quickly. What do we just have that you have? Oh, the achil in the sukkah. First night of sukkahs that you're supposed to, we learn from matzah. So you should eat the hekesh, tesvav. So there's a mitzvah deraisa to eat the bread in the sukkah. It should be within achilas pras. You have that. It's not like, oh, I'm eating and taking my time. Half hour later, I'm done. If you want to be yotze that mitzvah, according to the shita, that it goes together, what?
You have a window.
You have a window. Here, yotze achilas pras is eating slower. This guy, it's taking his time. So now the question is, when a person thinks that he's going to eat a kazayas, he's going to eat a steak at his barbecue. His employee barbecue in 2 months from now, but he's going to sit and enjoy it. It's going to take him 11 minutes instead of 9 minutes. What's the question? Because typically speaking, midaraisa, food, eating in the sukkah is a pras. On Pesach night, for sure, achilas pras. It has to be a certain time. But you know those people, they put the whole matzah in their mouth? You have to no, seriously. The whole kazayas in one shot has to be like one swallow. It's like a whole. Do we compare it to what a human being eats and that's a pras? Or do we look at what the mizbeach eats? My initial thought was, wow, it's a fire, so fire is quicker, but it seems like a fire is slower than a human being. You chew, and then you swallow it, and it takes only a few minutes. If you put a piece of steak on a flame, on a fire, until it consumes it completely, where it's done, where it's like charcoal, that's more than achilas pras. So do we compare it to a human being or to the mizbeach? Omar Abaye Toshma lechol kachatzi zayis ulahaktir kachatzi zayis kosher. She'ein achila v'aktor mitztarfen. You had a second ago. If a person thinks about a half a kazayis and a half a kazayis, one to eat, one to consume, and one to put on the mizbeach, it's not pigul. Why? Because the achila, the word achila and aktor, they don't go together. Time of the lechol lahaktir or lechol lechol. What if he said the lashon of achila? I'm eating this and the mizbeach is eating mitztar. V'aktor b'yodzuch de achilas prasu. How could it be mitztar? There's a problem. It's going to take longer on the mizbeach. Says the Gemara, Dilma Bezagadol, who said, maybe if I put up the flame and it's a massive fire, it'll consume it real quickly. Like it just popped in my mind, so I use it as a mashal, like what happened in Los Angeles with the fires. The heat was so intense, a guy's house went like in 10 seconds, boom, gone. The whole block, poof. It's unbelievable. Like when it's really a hesed gadol, when the flames are. I said this, I have to tell you, we were looking out the window from my porch right here, and we see a tree in the park just on flames. Every yontif. But massive, the whole tree from bottom to top. It's a massive flame. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, these guys were patrolling, I think, these the yellow planes that put out fires. All of a sudden he comes out of nowhere, and then he swoops down to check out what exactly is going on. They made a circle, and the kids are like, oh, look at that, the plane. All of a sudden, he doused it with whatever chemical he uses. It was white stuff, and these kids, they became white ghosts. Seriously, I saw it. Like, we have video of it.
You can give them the eggs.
Anyway, so they put out the flame. The tree is still there. It's a little burnt, but as you can see, it's burnt. It's like right across the street from it. And the plane is going. It came down. It's not gonna. Came down like the level of the buildings. It was flying between the buildings. Crazy stuff. Very good pilots. Anyway, so. So we said that. Next sugya. If he thinks in his mind that he's going, we just said it 3 times, we'll say it again. He thought in his mind a half a kezayis to eat and a half a kezayis to put on the mizbeach, lahaktir. That's not pigul. What if he thought to himself he's going to consume? That's because he put on the. What if he's going to consume a murim? Do I have a murim here? Not today. Something that's not something that you eat. Something like imurim, like the kidneys that you put on the mizbeach. It seems like mitzdaref. Haktani reisha, but it says in the reisha lechol, it's shedarki lechol. It says mefurish that it has to be something that's normal to eat. As shedarki lecholin, it seems like it's something edible. She'ein darki loy, but the kidneys that you put on a mizbeach, they're not edible. Why are they not edible? Not because they're not edible, because it's something that you never eat. It's something that a human being puts on the mizbeach that you don't put in your mouth. And I'm talking about a carbon. Or and this is also Rabbi Eliezer that we had already. You can combine the 2 thoughts. What the mizbeach consumes, what a human being consumes, are interchangeable and they can be put together in one thought. It's not. If somebody, as he's performing the avodah, he thinks to himself, I'm going to eat this, even though it's not something that's normal to put on the mizbeach, or not something that's normal to eat, kosher. Why? Combine the 2 thoughts. He combined the thought, he said, achila of mizbeach, and that's not something that there's achila sadam and there's achila mizbeach. Don't confuse the 2. Rabbi Eliezer says no. The 2 thoughts. Yeah. Why? Correct. That's a thought. Why is that not a thought? You're saying, oh, you mean a full thought? That's what you're saying? A full thought. Full thought. His thought of mizbeach could be confused for a thought of human. Even though Rabban said you cannot interchange the 2 thoughts, achilas sodom and achilas mizbeach. But says Abaya, what was your whole point? Your point was you made a deal. You said his dig was, it says lechol, but what if it's something that's not the way to eat? No, that's not what the dig is going to be. It's going to be in other words, that even though I don't have a full kezayis, I could combine the 2 halves to make it a whole, to make it pigul. That's what I'm going to infer. So, but what's the chiddush in that? You take 2 half a kezayis. Here, 2 halves like this. These 2 halves become one whole pigul. The 2 blues, 2 half blues. If I'm telling you that 2 half a kezayis, this is something that's normal to eat, and it becomes 1 pigul, that I already know from the beginning of the Mishnah. It says, what if I took a half a kezayis, but I had 2 thoughts, in one whole zayis I had 2 thoughts. 1 half was for zman, and 1 half was for makkah. What's the halacha? Puzzle. It's not real pigul. It makes it possible, not pigul. But I can infer from that though, pigul, and another chatzi zayis l'machar is pigul. Well, I should read it like this. So chatzi zayis l'machar, v'oid chatzi zayis l'machar, pigul. The reason why this doesn't work is because one is here. This is a better example. The reason why is because this is zman, and half of it is makom. So these 2 don't go together. But what if I did this? Zman and zman, 2 halves to make 1 whole. That does work. So I could see from our Mishnah that 2 halves combine to make pigul. And if you're going to tell me that the chiddush is ilechol ulahaktir, that if I say this half I'm going to consume, and this half I'm going to put on the mizbeach, and it doesn't combine, there's no tziruf, That I could already learn with the Yugad Dereisha Shemam. I could also learn this from the beginning of the Mishnah. Lechol davar shedarke lechol in, shein darke lechol loy. It says before in the Mishnah that has to be something that it's typically speaking I eat. If it's not something I eat, then no. It's not a machshava pigul. Hashnu malechol velechol davar shein darke lechol loy mitzaref. If I use the lashon of achila, eating and eating, half, eating and eating something that's not edible, it doesn't go together. Lechol lahaktar. So if I stick in another word, haktar, instead of eating, of course it's not good. Lechol lahaktar, my boy. Says no. Lechol lahaktar itzrich. Maybe I wanted to say it in such a way that he said he used two different types of languages, achila and aktara. That's not normal to think like that. Why? Because aktara for a human being. But when he talks in a normal fashion, maybe the two of them, the achil of the mizbeach and the achil of the adam, should combine together. But he said it at least in a normal way. That they're not mitzaref. Hadran aloch kol zevachim shekilu daman. Hadran aloch kol zevachim shekilu daman. Hadran aloch kol zevachim shekilu daman. Rabbi say, Isru Chag Sameach, a gesunte Winter. Shkoyach for coming.
Merit the schus of spreading Torah throughout the world. Sponsor a shir today. MDYsponsor.com or sponsor at MDYDaf.com.